Okay, hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about differentiated instruction in response to the burden of mixed ability classroom. I'm not going to take too much time. I'm not going to take the 45 minutes. Don't worry, I'm going to give you time to go and eat, practice, do whatever you like. Okay, as Muhammad said, I'm Nermine Nasr. I graduated. I'm working as an ESP instructor at the academy. I'm working as an IB examiner at the IB Global Center. I worked at Forest University as an assessment specialist. I worked as a language and literature teacher, and I worked also as an English language coordinator. I graduated from Faculty of Education, and in 2019, I started my MA. I've been chosen to be a presenter in different international conferences, and tomorrow I'll be presenting in TAFL Kuwait conference, waiting to see you there. Okay, so what I'm going to do today, I'm going to tell you about differentiated instruction. Why? Because actually I used, or I'm usually use differentiation in my classroom, and it's one of the best things that can help you. It will make the classroom really interesting. So for my presentation, here's the outline. Number one, I'm going to give you a brief introduction. Then I'm going to give you different definitions for differentiated instruction. After that, I'm going to shed light on the levels of differentiation, and I'm going to tell you how to implement differentiated instruction. Okay, let's start. So, having a mixed ability classroom is one of the challenges that face all of us as teachers. As a result, we as teachers, we should give more instructions that suit the students' needs, their proficiency level, as well as their learning style. So the teachers respond towards the learner's needs that differ from one person to another is differentiated instruction. So what is differentiated instruction? This is the teacher's response towards the diversity in the students and that everyone has his own needs. Differentiated instruction has defined in different ways. For example, Temilson in 2013, he states that differentiated instruction is tailoring. What I'm going to tailor? I'm going to tailor the instructions or my teaching, the way I teach. Why I'm going to tailor it? In order to meet an individual learner, small groups of learners, or all the students. Why I'm doing that? In order to deal with their diversity. So the main idea of differentiation is to deal with different people according to their level or according to their learning style or according to their needs. Okay? As a result, in this process, we as teachers, we're going to modify the curriculum, the learning activities, the student's product, the instructions. I'm going to modify everything in order to meet their needs. From this definition, we're going to come up with the differentiation levels. There are 5 differentiation levels, and we're going to get them from the definition. Number one, I said that the teacher is going to modify the curriculum. So the first differentiation level or the first level of differentiation is the content. The second one is the process. The third one is the product. And the fourth and fifth ones are affect and learning environment. So let's wrap up. What is differentiation? Differentiation is the teacher's, my response to the learner's needs. Okay, so what I do in order to meet every student's need, this is differentiation. How we differentiate? According to these 5 levels: the content, the process, the product, the affect, and the learning environment. So before telling you what is the meaning of each one, I'm going to give you just 1 minute to think and match the differentiation levels with their definitions. 1 minute, I want you to think of them, and then I'm going to come and see what did you get. You can write that in the comments if you want. One minute. So try to match the differentiation level with the definition, because it will take us to the next step, which is knowing each one in detail and how to implement each one. Okay, I think we are ready to start. So the content differentiation, I'm going to match it with letter B. Process definition with C. Product, learning environment A, and product with D. So let's take one by one in them in details to talk about them. Number one, the content differentiation. What do we mean by the content differentiation? It means that the students in the same level go through the same skill or the same content, but the teacher should adjust the complexity degree by using different content or different procedures. What does it mean? It means that whenever I'm talking about content differentiation, I'm talking about what I am learning, and I'm going to think of the students' level. Okay, so the content, what I'm teaching, and I'm going to think of the idea of their level. So how to do that? Number one, if I'm teaching reading, I'm going to use different reading material at different levels. So let's see that practically. So if this is a part of the book where the students need to learn how to speed read, or they have to learn a new skill in reading, which is speed reading, all they have to do is to read the text and take notes. So if I'm going to differentiate in the content, what I'm going to teach, I'm going to use different material according to the student's level, because this is content differentiation. As a result, I'm going to give this text from the book to the average students. So what about the high achievers? As for the high achievers, I'm going to give them a text that's a little bit harder. Like, for example, a summary of a book called 5 Top Regrets of the Dying. This is the same idea as regret. As for the low achievers, I'm going to support them with another text that is easier than the high achievers and easier than the average students. So here I taught the same skill, which is speed reading, throughout 3 different materials. I give different content, okay? Other ways, how can I use differentiation in the content in other skills? For example, if I'm teaching speaking, here I'm going to introduce different topics to the students, and I'm going to introduce also different speaking activities. As for grammar, if you are teaching grammar, you can use different marker sentences according to the level. If you have high achievers, you're going to give them advanced sentences or advanced marker sentences, and so on. I can also use differentiated instruction throughout meeting small groups to reteach an idea or skill for the low achievers. As for the advanced learners, I can meet them to extend a skill or thinking. Okay, so what is differentiation in the content? Again, I'm going to give the same content or the same skill, but throughout different levels. I'm going to give it to 3 different levels. Okay, the second one, or the second differentiation, the second level of differentiation is process. And when we talk about the process, we're going to talk about the activities. All the activities that I, as a teacher, am going to use to help the students to gain the concept of the content. So here I'm talking about how I'm teaching, not what I'm teaching, because what I'm teaching is the content. How I teach that is the process. And here, mainly in the process differentiation, I'm going to look at the learning styles. I'm going to differentiate according to the learning styles. For those who don't know what is learning style, it means that every one of your students, even you, has a different learning style. So in this part, or in the process differentiation, I'm going to provide textbooks for visual learners. As for the auditory learners, I'm going to allow them to listen to audiobooks. As for the kinesthetic learners, I'm going to give them the chance to do things with their hands. I'm going to give them interactive assignments. So let's try this on a text from a book. Here, for example, if I'm teaching grammar, I'm teaching grammatical rule today. So I'm going to design different activities. These activities I'm going to refer to them as learning centers, and sometimes I refer to them as stations. In these different stations, every student is going to have the chance to learn according to his learning style. For example, some of them can watch a video that they can find, or where they can find the grammatical rule, discuss it, and answer a worksheet. This is for the auditory learners. Yes, if they are visual learners, they're going to read an article based on the grammatical rule, highlight the verbs, and answer a worksheet. But if they are kinesthetic learners, they are going to surf the internet for different blogs, for example, go and ask their peers about the grammar. And finally, they are going to answer a worksheet related to the grammatical rule type. So here I have the same content, I have the same product, but the process is different, and that's what we mean by process differentiation. So here is a part taken from a book where the students need to differentiate between the past perfect and the past perfect progressive type. Here I want to differentiate, or I want to apply differentiation in the process. What I'm going to do for the visual learners, I'm going to ask them to do this task, to read the biography in order to come up with the rule. So they are going to read this biography and answer the part where they have to analyze the grammatical rule. This is for the visual learners. What about the auditory learners? As for the auditory learners, I'm going to bring them a video like this one. Okay, and while you are choosing your video, you have to make sure that the grammatical rule is there. Okay, so I'm going to ask my learners to watch the video, come up with the marker sentences, and fill in this task. But what about for the kinesthetic learners? Again, I'm teaching the same thing, which is the grammatical rule to differentiate between the past perfect and the past perfect continuous. For the kinesthetic learners, I'm going to divide them into group, and I'm going to tell them to go out with their smartphones, for example. Why? They have to go throughout or go around the campus to find examples for the past perfect or the past perfect continuous. They can find that on a flyer, on a poster, on a book, or they can go to the library to find the information. And then they are going to come and answer this task. Okay? So in the process, I give them the same content, which is to differentiate between the past perfect and the past perfect progressive. They have to come up with the same product, which is to answer the worksheet. But the process is different according to their learning style. So what are we talking about? Let's wrap up again. We're talking about differentiation. What is differentiation? The teachers respond towards the student's needs. Every one of the students has his own needs, has his own level. So I should deal with everyone individually, or each group individually. How can I do that? I can do that throughout 5 levels: content, process, product, affect, and learning environment. Content, what I'm teaching. So I'm going to differentiate according to level. Process means how I'm teaching it. So I'm going to differentiate according to their learning style. The third one that I'm going to talk about, there's another way in differentiation in the process where you can use flipped classroom. Okay, how to use flipped classroom? In the traditional classroom, I give them the lecture and then I give them the homework. In flipped classroom, it's the opposite. What I'm going to do, I'm going to ask them to watch an online lecture, a video, or whatever, and they are going to come and discuss that. They are going to give a presentation. They are going to have a peer teaching. They are going to make a problem-solving task. Okay, so this is one of the ways where I can use differentiation in the process. Also, in differentiation in the process, I can vary the length or the time of the students take to complete a task. Those students are going to take 5 minutes, while the others will take 3 minutes, and while those are going to take 7 minutes. And here you have to support the high achievers with other tasks so that they can do, in order not to have a gap, some people doing nothing. Okay? As we said the content, what to teach, the process, how to teach. The third and the last thing that we're going to learn today is how to implement product differentiation. According to the definition, product differentiation refers to giving variety of items where students can use in order to show their learning. So here I'm talking about how students reflect their understanding. Product, how the students are going to reflect their understanding. And this is actually, I think this is one of the easiest way for the teachers to implement. How to implement it? For example, if I'm teaching writing, I'm going to ask the students to write an essay of different word count. My students don't write essays, my students write paragraphs. Okay, ask them to write paragraphs of different word count. So let's see this. For example, this is a part of the book where the students have to read the given information, answer the questions, take notes, and then write a short biography. So the main aim here is to write a biography. Now, what can I do, or how can I differentiate here? Number one, for the average students, I'm going to give them the task as it is. Now, as for the low achievers, I'm going to ask them to write an essay or write paragraph or write a biography according to, or that varies from 150 till 200 word paragraph or word biography. As for the high achievers, I'm going to vary the word count. I'm going to tell them, for example, you can use from 25 till 250 till 300 word biography. Okay. Also, in order to implement differentiation in the product, you can encourage your students to express what they have learned in varied ways. Encourage them to express what they have learned in different ways. Ask them to give a presentation if they can. Ask them to write whatever they want. Okay? So the last thing that we're going to do now, I'm going to give you an objective, and we're going to try to differentiate in the 3 levels. For example, my objective is to use the past simple correctly in writing. I want you to think for 2 minutes how to implement differentiation in the content, in the process, in the product, using this objective. I want you to think. Please take your time. Take, for example, 2 minutes to think. Think how to differentiate throughout the content, the process, and the product, using this objective. I'm going to remind you, content means what I'm teaching. I'm going to vary my teaching according to their level. Process, I mean, or I refer to the activities that I do. So I'm going to implement throughout, adding different stations, different learning centers, according to the learning style, and product, how they reflect their learning. Okay, you still have time to think. Another minute. As I promised, I'm not going to take more than 30 minutes. I'm going to give you time to go do whatever you like. I'm unable to see your comments. That's why I don't know whether you are What are you writing actually?
Okay, we're still looking at the chat box.
Yeah, I'm unable to do this. Hey, finally I can. Yes. I'm going to show.
Yeah, so we have some answers here. We have Heba Mohammed. He says,
okay,
using sentences describing present and past actions, using pictures.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Eunice says, ask advanced ones to write a story about an incident happened in the past to them.
Great, this is according to the product. How do you manage?
Yeah, the class time.
The class time, I'm going to give each activity a time. For example, if I'm asking, whenever I divide the class into centers, I give them the time. For example, this task that you have to read this part, or you have to watch the video, or you have to come up with whatever, I give them the exact time. You are going to take, for example, 20 minutes, and after the 20 minutes, you have to be here, and then we discuss the rule together, or discuss whatever we are going to take together.
Yeah, we have another comment from Eunice. He says, ask average ones to complete sentences, give them a prompt, and they complete it using the past.
Good. I wanted to share your ideas, please, to know that you got the idea of differentiation.
Very good participation.
Yes. I'd like to share the screen again. Ask the learners to use the verb in the right past tense. Low achievers. Good.
So we have some other comments here. Riham says, write 2 sentences about what they did yesterday. Write a short story about the last trip or a happy situation that happened to them. Nermine Nasr says, involve the students in a task where they have to correct mistakes in the differentiated texts according to the levels. Eunice has another comment. Ask low-level learners to use the verb in the right past tense. Another comment from, a combination of letters. I ask students to write a paragraph about their last vacation. So, yeah, Sarah Hussein says low achievers can complete sentences with the correct form of the verbs.
Yes.
Yeah, ideas keep coming up in the chat box, which is really wonderful.
Yes, actually.
Yeah, very good. Samah says, when I analyze an article or novel and write a comment on it, in which tense should I use? That's a question.
But I think it's not related to our session.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Let me give you the answer here. If I want to plan for a lesson using differentiated instruction, we said that our main objective is to use the past simple correctly in writing. So if I'm going to differentiate in the content, how I'm teaching, what I'm teaching the past simple. So I'm going to use different marker sentences, and they are going to answer the same worksheet, or they are going to write the same topic. Okay, so they are going to use the present simple. I'm going to teach them the present simple, but I'm going to use different marker sentences, every group according to their level. But I'm going to ask them all to write the same product, which is the same essay or whatever. According to the process, I'm going to differentiate according to the learning style. Some people are going to watch a video about the grammatical rule. Other people are going to read an article, watch a video or read an article. And the third group are going to do an activity. If I'm going to differentiate according to the product, I'm going to ask them to write different essays or different paragraphs or different whatever according to different word count. Finally, never feel afraid to explore your options, to help your students to take them to another level. Most of the comments that I got, but I don't have time for this, it won't work. Guys, try it. Try to use differentiation, and even if it didn't work, you try it. Maybe it will work, and you're going to get the best result. I'm usually using differentiation, and actually students, when they find themselves learning something that's related to their needs, related to their learning style, or related to their level, it makes them happier and it makes them learn better. So I'm encouraging you to learn more, to read more, and to implement such things with your students. And actually, if you would like to read more about differentiation and how to implement differentiation, differentiated instruction, I got you a list of references. You're going to find these articles on Google Scholar. You can find them and you can read them. They are going to help you a lot. And
yeah, before we miss this comment from YouTube, the YouTube channel, we have Maria from Argentina. She says the students can watch segments of a situation and then write in groups. Finally, they socialize, and groups and co-assess.
Yes. Yes, this is right. Thank you, Maria.
Yeah, wonderful idea. Okay.
Yes. You can read these articles. They're going to help you a lot. And whenever you have any question related to anything regarding differentiation, you can contact me throughout the LinkedIn or throughout my mail. I'm always here to help.
Okay, we have, thank you, Nermine, for this valuable presentation.
Thank you so much.
I can see some.
As I promised, I'm going to finish a little bit earlier to give them time to move because they have other sessions, but I'm here if there are any questions.
Okay, so I'm looking at the chat box at the moment.
Okay.
There are lots of different ideas and positive comments. There is only one comment saying that it's better to have task-based activities addressing group of students. Addressing group of students. Yeah, this is what he says. Arturo. Yeah, it's better to have task-based activities addressing group of students because this way it would, decrease the burden of the teacher. You know what I mean? It won't make it difficult for the teacher and would make it much easier for the students. This is what he's trying to address here.
I'm going to tell you something. Maybe differentiation instruction seems difficult in preparing because you're going to find different resources, you're going to search for different things. But actually, during the process of teaching itself, you're going to find yourself as a teacher doing nothing except for monitoring your students.
Yeah. Okay. We have a question from Yunus here. He says, how can we handle differentiation in large classes?
Thank you for this question. It's a really good one. Actually, Yunus, differentiation is here for the large group of students. Why? Because by doing that, you're going to be able to concentrate with all of them. Once you divide them into 3 groups, for example, according to their learning style or according to their level or according to whatever, you will be able to see each group individually. You're going to be able to focus with them to see what do they need, which skills did they learn, which things do I need to work more on. But I think that differentiated instruction is here just for the group of the big group of students.